Leadtionary 2023. Live on Facebook at Bishop Gideon Titi-Ofei. Every Thursday at 1900 GMT.
Hello there, welcome to another episode of Leadtionary. My name is Michael Obedu. I'm a broadcast journalist with TV3 and sitting in for Bishop Titi-Ofei over the last couple of weeks. But thankfully, the man himself is in town and he'll be engaging us today on key questions every leader should ask themselves. You're welcome.
Thank you, Michael.
Welcome to your show.
Thank you for holding the fort. You've been able to manage the show very well whilst I've been away, and I want to thank you for your service.
Grateful and humbled. You have been globetrotting, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. So we did a number of missionary work in the UK. We have the number of churches there, and we're starting new congregations. So my wife and I had to be there and see to the planting of these new congregations, And then my wife herself too had to graduate at the University of Bolton. So it was also husband's duties as well.
See, impressive. I follow you often on Facebook, and it's quite interesting to see you really go back to the basics. I've seen you doing evangelism on the streets, and how important is that for you as a pastor, though?
Well, so you have to make sure that whatever brought you success, you keep doing it. So basically, I got born again in early 80s, 1982, and it was very common at the time to hit the street and do evangelism. So that was my lifestyle, preaching in buses, preaching in trotters, and preaching on the street, doing dawn broadcasts at 5 a.m., etc., etc. These were the things that laid my foundation to get to where I've gotten to. And by my principles, I believe that whatever brought you success, to be able to keep that success, you must actually double your effort and do those things again.
Wow, impressive. Now let's talk leadership. It always starts with a question, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. So, my father was a minister in the Methodist Church and also the manager of Methodist schools, and then a crapping old man. So all these three, formed him. He was a very disciplined person and was quite interested in our education. And the initial stages of my education, I was really having difficulties, I wasn't doing well in school, and he was not pleased at all. And then I started picking up. When I got born again at 14, I started picking up. I was now between the first and the third and all those things. So I expected feedback from him. And he was not giving me feedback. When I was not doing well, his feedback was very strong. Now I'm doing well, my daddy was not giving me any feedback. So I complained to my mother. Now, why is daddy Papa not talking about how I'm performing well? So I think my mother had a conversation with him. So he called me and he said to me, Yofi, there are three questions in life. The first question are the questions your teachers ask you in examination. He said, these questions are very easy questions because your teachers might have provided you with notes and explanation. And all you have to do is to study and study well. If you study well, you will answer those questions. So the second set of questions, which is a bit more difficult, are the questions you ask your teachers. I said, these questions are a bit difficult because you need to gather the courage to stand before the class, to expose your ignorance and tell the teacher, I don't understand this, explain this for me. So it takes a bit more of courage. But he said the most difficult questions are the ones you leave school, you start work, you start making choices, you marry, you choose a pathway for your professional career, you choose a pathway for your spiritual development, you choose a pathway for your social development, you choose a pathway for professional development, financial development. And so at one point, you will now stand in front of your mirror and begin to ask yourself questions. Did I choose this well? Am I doing well? Why am I here? Why am I not where I used to be? He says, when you start asking yourself questions and you start getting the answers correct, then I will start commending you. But for now, you haven't gotten to the third level of questions where you ask yourself questions. Now your teachers are asking you questions and you are doing well. Now you have gotten the courage to ask your teachers questions and you are doing well. But when life begins to challenge you, when you have to now confront the most difficult aspects of life's choices, then you begin to ask yourself questions. So as I was growing up, I started asking myself questions. And I said, wow, Papa really, really was right. I'm now asking my questions. Who should I marry? Did I marry well? I'm now a pastor. Am I pastoring well? Did God really call me to become a pastor? You have to do those kind of self-examination. And successful leaders really ask themselves the most important questions in life, and they answer them. Anybody who has seen become successful answer these questions. So one of my books, I wrote the 21 most important questions successful leaders ask. There are 3 parts, and I've done the first part, which is the 7 most important questions successful leaders ask.
Interesting.
Themselves.
You've spoken about your father in there, and I think maybe someday we should do a series on fatherhood, because I've seen your father, just like you, was an educationist and a minister of the gospel. You are literally a reflection of him, probably more amplified. So maybe we should do a series.
So we'll talk about procreation leadership.
Exactly. That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But then now let's talk about the questions that you've teased out in this book. You speak about 7 key questions. First one, you talk about provision.
First one is the providence question.
The providence question. What really is it?
So the providence question, you ask yourself, why did God create me? Why did God create me? Jeremiah 1 verse 5 really had an impact on my life. Before I formed you, I knew you. Once you're in your mother's womb, I appointed you as a prophet to the nation. It tells me a lot of things, that I am not an accident. I am not an afterthought. And that God actually preconceived me before even my mother met my father, probably under a village tree, and proposed love to her. Yeah. So it tells me that there is a God factor. So Michael, there are a number of things that really have influence on our lives. Okay. But those things, God did not allow us to choose them. For instance, the choice as to who gave birth to you. Your DNA is largely influenced by your lineage. Who gave birth to you? Your genealogy. Who gave birth to you? You are who you are, different from a friend, different from colleagues, simply because the person who gave birth to you passed on certain capabilities and abilities and desires to you. We have a typical example is the Abedi Pele's children who are now playing football. They have become footballers because somebody with a football genes or DNAs in his blood gave birth to them, and they also became footballers. Why didn't God allow them to choose their own father? It would have probably, if they are choosing a medical doctor father or a farmer father, they might become farmers. So who gives birth to you is really has a very serious impact on what you become. Yet God did not allow you to choose that person. He chose it for you. Again, your nationality has a lot of impact on you. If you meet a Nigerian, he's totally different from a Ghanaian. The approach to business, the approach to marriage, the approach is entirely different. If you meet a Burkinabe and Ghanaian, is different. If you meet a British and American, you can see clear difference as a result of their nationality. Yet God did not allow any of us to choose our nationalities. He chose our nationalities for us. Look at things like gender. Being a man or being a woman determines a lot of things for you, Yet God did not allow you to choose your gender. Even your physique. whether you are tall or fat it always has something to do with, it has a lot of influence on your decisions and choices, etc. So somebody will say, a lot of these kind of people with this kind of physique do this work very well. And people with this kind of bodily frame are good singers. You get it. So that, in fact, even people with some kind of leg shapes are better footballers than others. You get it. I mean, studies will reveal all these things. Yet God did not allow us to choose those things. He chose them for us. Even your tribe has a lot of influence on you. I'm a crappy man, people, and I'm not surprised. I'm a pastor and I'm a teacher, and all the people will tell you that Equipims are either police officers or accountants or teachers or priests. You see? And some people will also observe the guns, will observe the airways, will observe in Nigeria. Even the difference is very clear. The difference between what Igbos do in terms of profession and what Yorubas will do or what the Awuzes will do is quite very obvious. Yet God did not allow us to choose our tribes. He chose them for us. You see, these things should tell you that there's a God factor. You are not a journalist because you wanted to be a journalist. You are a journalist because God put it in the inside of you. You were wired to become who you have become. So the question, why did God create me, is I believe that the greatest discovery in every nation is not a discovery of oil, it's not a discovery of gas, it's not a discovery of gold, it's not a discovery of all these things. It's when individuals in the country begin to discover who they are and we are able to build systems that can help them to develop and build on their potential. So the providence question, why did God create me, is very important. And people who answer these questions correctly look at what they do in life as a calling, because they believe that God created them for a certain purpose. And for whatever they do, I believe that the closest to pastoring, the closest job to pastoring is teaching. Okay. And when I was growing up, there used to be a popular saying that teachers, the rewards of teachers are in heaven or is in heaven. Yeah. And this was so because teachers really looked at what they did as a calling. That God had called them. The same way a pastor will look at what he did as a calling or what we do as calling is very crucial. I believe that the ethical nature of pastoring, why people place a lot of ethical demands on pastoring, is because God is your boss. So for instance, you are a journalist, you work with a media institution. If you look beyond your employers and look at God, that God is watching me, one day I will stand before God and give account of the opportunities he gave me. The wisdom to learn to become a journalist, the opportunity to have a job. One day I have to stand before God to see what kind of impact did I make with the opportunities, the abilities, the talents that God gave me. What kind of impact did I make on my generation? Now, leaders who think this way go the extra mile to ensure that they can fulfill their assignment on earth. They look at every job as a divine assignment.
That's impressive, because a lot of people have battled with, for instance, their gender, their color, their height, their origin, their ethnicity, and the likes. But it looks like what you just said has literally silenced all of that because you were specifically and tailor-made for God's purpose.
For God's purpose. And you are not a mistake. There are a lot of young people who are fighting hard. I want to go to America. This country is not good for me. If I get to America, my life will change. On the surface, yes, it is, because there are better economic prospects in America or in any part of Europe than it is in our West Africa sub-region where corruption is rife and the job space is quite limited. We all have to do a certain course and all those things. But God knew it, but yet he put you here. So the greatest discovery is when you are able to discover yourself, why God created you. It is called mission. why God created you, when you are able to discover that question, able to answer it, you can survive anywhere. It's just like paratroopers when they are discharged from the aircraft, and you have what we call survivor toolkit, survivor box on your bag. It then contains bowls to cook, water, medicals to heal yourself. And wherever you land, you are armed to survive. That's how it takes. Look at life as you jumping out of parachute. God brought a parachute to Ghana, and we are all discharged from it. A plane too, and we are all discharged from the plane. Some will land in the north, some will land in the south, some will land in the west, some will land wherever you land. God has equipped you enough to become successful. And I think that most outstanding leaders have this kind of understanding.
Interesting. So how do all these tools that I may be born with influence or determine my assignment?
Okay. First and foremost, you need to discover it. And for instance, I heard a man of God preach and made very two powerful statements. One, he said, what anoints you is a clue to what you were created to solve. And what excites you is a clue to what you were created to do. In my life, what excites me is sharing information. Like what I'm doing now is sharing information. And that's why I own Accra Business School. So I've created a business school using what excites me. So I was sitting in a class. Somebody was teaching on human resource development. And the person got to in 2004. And the person got to training and development. And it excited me how to do training needs analysis, how to develop training programs for organizations and all those things. While sitting down in that lecture hall, I developed my first company, the African Center for Leadership and Human Resource Development, and did my first training in 2004 with a borrowed $100 from a friend of mine. And now it is the huge multi-million-dollar Accra Business School. You see, so what excited me has given me a job now. Now, what annoys me is ignorance. When people who should know some things don't know, it annoys me. It's also the reason why I have a school, to solve the ignorance problem. So what excites you is a clue to what you were created to solve. What annoys you is a clue to what you were created to solve. What excites you is a clue to what you were created to do.
Wow. Please say that again.
What excites you is a clue to what you were created to do. What annoys you gives you a clue to what you were created to solve. And this was said by Mike Medek. And I think that it really changed my life and helped me build up to where I am now. And basically, that's what leaders do.
Interesting. So you have clearly been able to find answers to the providence question, why God created you. So what are then the key characteristics of leaders who have been able to answer these questions? This particular question.
So these leaders follow their convictions, not the crowd. It's very easy to do what everybody is doing because it's giving a certain results at a certain time. When I was a young pastor in the Bible school, I was really struggling financially. And I'm basically a Bible teacher. And then here were my mates who were prophets, who would come to school on Monday morning in a new car. So Charlie, somebody came to church and gave me this car. And I struggled to get money to buy, to get trotro, to get to Bible school. And somebody you came to school with on Friday who didn't have a car now comes on Monday and said, Charlie, I went to give prophecy to someone and the prophecy came to pass. And the person came to on Sunday and brought me a car. And so you feel this is where everybody, so there are a lot of people who were really becoming prophets, and all those things. But I had a conviction that God has called me into teaching. And my teaching is focused on helping to discover, develop, and deploy leaders from the church to the world, and win leaders from the world to the church. And I had to stick to my conviction. Unfortunately, most of the people who were drifted in following the crowd did not survive in their ministry. Even if they did, they have not been able to realize their potentials. Some have left ministry, some have found new jobs that they are doing because following the crowd, but not a conviction. Like in 1987, I had to leave Europe and come to Ghana because God told me that Europe is not your place of abundance. Everything I created have their own places of abundance. The fish will multiply in sea, the trees will bear fruit on land. And he says Europe is not your place of abundance. In the 90s, in the mid 90s, it was very fashionable for pastors to travel. Even pastors with quite sizable churches here left their churches to go to Europe, go to America, go to Europe to start new churches, etc., etc. And then in the midst of that, God says that I am calling you to Africa, so go back home. I came home, had a lot of difficulties, lived in uncompleted buildings, but my conviction was stronger than the crowd. You understand? Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that follow your assignment, not attraction. Assignment is what you were created to do. Attraction is what you are copying to do. So going back to the same prophetic ministry and teaching ministry, the prophetic ministry was very attractive, and the chances are that you are likely to leave it to go there, because our society, we are very more superstitious than spiritual. So people really don't understand those differences. So people will rather, instead of spending time listening to God's word, they will rather spend time listening to someone who can tell them that your mother is a witch, or your father is a wizard, or some uncle of yours wants to kill you. You see, we always want to hear something mysterious. And it's part of our culture. It's part of our cultural upbringing and all those things. So whilst in other jurisdictions like America and other places, people are knowledge driven in their Christian faith. So all the mega churches in America, for instance, are word-based, teaching-based, from Joel Osteen to TD Jakes, etc., etc. Even in Nigeria, it is word-based churches, but in our jurisdiction is more of prophetic-based than word-based. So the chances that more prophetic ministry and other means are attractive to people, you are likely to leave your assignment to follow those things.
Then it means that following your passion can be an uneasy journey sometimes.
It can, but what is the essence of traveling on the same pathway the others have traveled and they have arrived? You don't become, when you even arrive, you're not the first person who has arrived. I remember years ago when one person from a family is traveling, the whole family will hire a bus and come to the airport to see the person off. When the person is returning, they can come, even the chiefs in their villages and other things can come to the airport to receive the person who has traveled and is coming back, because most people were not traveling. But today, when you travel, you are coming back, you even struggle to get people to come and pick you at the airport. They will tell you to take Uber and come home because it's not new. So, but your passion may not take you through the path already cut, may take you through the bushes. But cut your own path through the bushes. That's what will make you different from others. And that's what actually true leaders do.
Wow. They follow their passion. They follow their conviction, not the crowd. And then the second one you mentioned is that they follow their assignment, not attraction. Yes. So what's the third?
The third is that they follow their faith, not the first.
Okay.
You get it? They believe that their life is a journey towards a certain destination, and by providence things will happen whilst they go. So they don't look at who did this first and I want to be the person or anything. They feel that this is what I believe I was created to do and I want to do it, and they fight hard. They go they take their destinies into their hands. They fight hard to discover. Like all my life, I've always decided to be different. I believe that God created me for a very unique purpose. I am not so focused on who did first and who did that one first. In fact, when I even intend to do things and I realize people have already done them, I don't do it again. Why will you do what people have already done? Even if you want to do it differently. That is what will set you out. That's what will help you stand out, actually.
Wow. So we've done 3. What's the final one for you?
The final one is that people would who have discovered themselves, who have discovered themselves, will actually follow a certain pathway instead of just following in people. You know, they want to make sure that I am inspired by this person's journey. I'm inspired by this person's story. But I want to know which pathway led the person there. You get it? Yeah. Which pathway led this person there? I want to pay the price together. We have always said to young pastors that don't sit by TV and claim the anointing of other pastors. You get it? Yeah. It does study the journeys they made, the pathway that they walked on. They are pathfinders, people who have discovered the God, have answered the providence question, are actually pathfinders.
And your passion determines that path.
Your passion determines that path.
Wow.
And then leaders do that.
So let's go through the 4 unique characteristics of leaders who have been able to answer the providence question. From what you've explained, they follow their conviction, not the crowd. They follow their passion, not the path already cut. They focus on their faith, not on the first. And they follow their assignment and not their attraction.
That's right.
Wow, that's very profound.
And what is very important, Michael, is this. With all these things that we have discussed, brings us to defining your mission. The most important, there's a number of important questions you must address. Okay. Where are you going? Which is your vision. But then, why are you going there? It brings us to conviction, mission statement, your mission. You see, your mission. And once all these things we have discussed, you put them together, you now become a man on a mission. This time it's not mission impossible, it's mission possible. Exactly. You're a man on a mission. You know that this is why God created you. It becomes your mission in life, and you are focused and you are pursuing it. And you see, your mission makes you unique. And what will attract people to you is your uniqueness. So for instance, there's Accra Business School. Accra Business School's mission is Accra Business School, Ashase, Central. Let me use these 3 universities. So for Ashase, they are creating entrepreneurial ethical entrepreneurial leaders. Yeah. Central, transformational leaders. And Accra Business School, 7 leaders. So we are all providing education. Yeah. But then it is that mission. It is that mission statement that makes Accra Business School different from these 2 other universities. And it's their mission that also makes them different from. So there is a certain unique selling proposition. There's something unique about these schools, and it's enshrined in their missions. What will make you unique is your mission, which is very important. And then when you are able to define your mission, okay, it is usually your mission, your personal mission will be put in a very simple statement. Like I have said, my mission is to discover, develop, and deploy leaders from the church to the world, and win leaders from the world to the church. This is what defines my sermons. It defines why I preach what I preach. And it's not everybody who will appreciate what I preach, but there will be a lot more people who will appreciate what I preach, because my uniqueness attracts a certain unique congregation. So my congregation is fairly young people who are starting careers, who are in the universities, who need these messages to be able to discover themselves and build successes. And the elderly folks in our church are people who also believe that they have a similar calling like me, and they are around to help me fulfill this on these young people. So we are not a church that you can easily move people out. Let the next great pastor build a church opposite us. It is not very easy to have people move from our church to that church opposite us, even if the pastor is raising the dead. Because people have come because there is a unique selling proposition. There's a unique proposal. There's a value proposition that they are chasing from the things I preach and the things I do. The second thing that your mission does for you is that it brings understanding to the people around you. Once you are able to clearly define your mission statement and put it out there, people now understand the choices you make. And once people understand the choices you make, they want to be part. They want to support it. When people are around you and they don't really understand what is going on and all those things, they don't commit. The third thing is that when you are able to define your mission properly and people really understand it, you become unstoppable because the conviction is strong. You know where you are going. When we started Accra Business School, we've had a lot of challenges from the beginning. Today, people will come to conferences, my conferences, the next day they will not come and all those things. But what kept us going was because our mission was clearly defined. Our mission was clearly defined and we had a strong conviction. We were unstoppable because you have your uniqueness and brings you focus. You have your understanding and so brings you people because people now understand what you are doing. And now you become resilient, very resilient. You become unstoppable because you know where you are going. You know what you are pursuing. You become very, very resilient. And then you become untiring. You don't get tired because your mission, your dream is the power behind your performance. It energizes you. So you become very untiring. You keep going, you keep pushing, you make things happen. And people begin to wonder, like people, my friends will say, Titi-Ofei, how do you manage at 55? Today you have a conference, tomorrow you have another conference, next time you have another conference. Where do you get your energy from? My mission. I am untiring, my mission. And then it also determines your undertakings. You do a lot of things because you know where you are going, you understand your mission. And your achievement is traceable to the discovery of yourself. And the pursuit of that unreservedly, without any doubt. Once you start having double-mindedness about the things you do, it affects your commitment. And once your commitment is affected, you don't achieve maximum results. People want 100% and some 120% performance to be able to associate with you, to be able to become successful.
Interesting. If you just tuned in, you're watching Leadtionary with Bishop Titi-Ofei. I am his guest host for today. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you more as he takes us through the 21 top questions highly effective and successful leaders ask themselves. Stay with us. We'll bring you more shortly.
Leadtionary 2023, live on Facebook at Bishop Gideon Titi-Ofei, every Thursday at 1900 GMT.
Hi, this is Bishop Gideon Titi-Ofei. I am the official senior pastor for all pastors and leaders under 40. You know, in September, I am locking down all pastors and leaders under 40 in a 3-day boot camp dubbed Lockdown. You see, there will be no phone calls, no social media, no contact to the outside world. Just 3 days between you, myself, and Jesus in a lockdown leadership boot camp. We are praying every day. We are studying the word every day. We are fasting every day. Life will change. Jesus will visit you. Your ministry will change. At the Sheepfold Prayer Chamber near Accra Business School off the Spinters Road in Accra. Call the numbers on the screen now or go to the link provided and register. This is your chance to revive your ministry, your chance to get back on track. Listen, God has given me a special message for you, and God will visit you. I look forward to having you. Remember, it is lockdown September 20th to 22nd September. Arrival is on Tuesday evening, 19th September at 5 p.m. Free accommodation provided. So, you know something? It's a dormitory style accommodation. So come with your bed sheets and other things, but we will provide you mattresses. And it's going to be a time in the Lord. I enjoy the 2 previous ones we have had been blessing to many ministries. We keep receiving their testimonies, and I want you to be blessed as well. God bless you.
Leadtionary 2023, live on Facebook at Bishop Gideon Titi-Ofei, every Thursday at 1900 GMT.
Welcome back. You're still watching Leadtionary. My name is Michael Obedu, and our guest today is Bishop Titi-Ofei on his own show where I'm sitting in for him. But then we'll continue our conversation on 21 questions effective leaders ask themselves, and we're dwelling today on the providence question. Why did God create me? And Bishop Titi-Ofei has been bringing us a lot of perspectives on this particular conversation. Now, Bishop, in the midst of your conversation, you've highlighted the fact that we are uniquely created by God for a purpose. How do I discover my uniqueness?
Okay, so I think the earlier conversation, I might have answered it, but let me answer it this way. So years ago, we had a site where people were working, and I've been away out of the country for some time. So when I came back the next day, I wanted to go and see the work that had been done. I arrived too early, so the contractor was not on site, but some of the workers had arrived, and so there was this tools room where they go to get their tools. As I was watching them go to the tools room, this one will come from the tools room carrying a headpan. I knew, okay, this is a mason. Another comes from there carrying trowel and level. Okay, this is a mason. And then the headpan one is a libra. And then I'll be there, and then another one will come out with saw and hammer. This is a carpenter. You get it? Yeah. So it looks like your tools defines your assignment. You get it? Yeah. Because and most of the people, I assumed the assignment on the site. When the contractor came on site, he confirmed, oh, that is the carpenter. He didn't need to confirm. People went and started doing their work. Somebody entered there, came out with wires. I know this electrician. You go to a hospital, just by the virtue of the tools that people have there, this is a doctor, this is a nurse, and all those things. You see them going about. You see somebody with a mop in a broom in the hospital. He's a cleaner. You can tell immediately. So God also gave us tools that help us discover our assignment. So those things are called talents or abilities. These are our tools. So I have 3 abilities. The ability to think on my feet, the ability to speak, and the ability to write. These 3 things makes me a teacher. That's why I have a school. That's why I have a school.
It's very easy.
It is. So here is the thing. You just need to look at yourself and look at the flair that you have. But the thing is this, God created you in his image. The closer you get to God, the more you discover who you are. That has been my secret. The closer I get to God, I discover a lot of things about me. God is light. The further you go away from light, the darker it becomes. The closer you get to the light, the brighter it becomes. As you get close to God, you start discovering who you are. You get it? Yeah. So you are a bunch. Everything you need to succeed is already inside you. So it's your talent that will make you that unique person, and you need to discover it.
Wow. What just came to mind, when you have a product and you spend time on the manual, you get to understand the product better.
That's it. So the Bible is the manual of life, isn't it? When you spend more time in the Bible, reading and studying, you become better. That has been my secret. I came to this area 23 years ago to live in an uncompleted building, no water, no electricity, no toilet facilities. Why would let somebody travel from Swedro to come to a Pleasant Place Church to worship here? I'm offering something unique. There are people traveling all the way from Swedro and other places to come to church every Sunday at the Pleasant Place Church. I'm offering something very unique and based on having discovered why God created me.
If leaders will focus on discovering their uniqueness, the followers will definitely come no matter what.
So your uniqueness attracts people, a certain class of people. Just as gobe will attract gobe eaters, and fufu will attract fufu eaters, and banku will attract banku eaters. That is the same way what you offer will attract a certain group of people and class of people.
So if a leader is failing, is it enough to say he may not have discovered his uniqueness?
Well, there are a number of things that will contribute to failure. One of them will be the fact that you are doing everything in general, but nothing in particular. Because in life, you have to become a specialist, not a general practitioner. In leadership, you need to be a specialist, not a general practitioner. Mention a few successful people in this country, and you know what they have done to become successful. You know what they have done to become successful. So uniqueness is crucial. If you want to buy spare parts, well, in Ghana, where will you go? Abose Okai. Because that place is known for its uniqueness in terms of selling spare parts. So if I want to set up a spare parts business, I won't set it on the Sprinters Road. I'll set it in Abose Okai because that's where the crowd will go to buy spare parts. For those who are watching us, Abose Okai is a suburb in Accra, isn't it? Yeah. Accra is the capital city of Ghana, and those things. So there is what separates you from others is key. So, for instance, you are a business journalist, but as a business journalist, you cannot give business news in general. So even in journalism, because you have chosen business journalism, that is a certain uniqueness. But within business journalism, you must become an authority on something. An authority on something. If the nation wants a business journalist to discuss the DDEP, as we have it in Ghana, the domestic exchange program, they feel there's a journalist who is on top in terms of banking and finance. We want to speak to that journalist. You know, there's a journalist who is a business journalist, but is on top in international relations, the commercial diplomacy. And so what is happening in Niger, how is it impact on our foreign direct investments and all those things? This is a journalist we should talk to. When you become an authority on something, you become unique, you become visible. You know.
Interesting. It sounds like you're talking to me at this point.
I am actually addressing you.
That's very profound.
Yes, yes.
So if I discover my uniqueness, it becomes my selling proposition.
It will. So let me give you practical examples. Take Netflix. So when we're growing up, to watch a movie, you have to leave home and walk a long distance to go to a cinema hall to watch it. I remember as a young man in Adabraka, there is this Indian movie, it was called The Burning Train. And it was so popular to get the chance to enter the cinema hall. So they will show it 3 times in the evening. And each one was full. To the kind of queue you have to stay in. And before you can get into the cinema hall, and people will enter and they will oversell the tickets, and people will enter and stand and watch. You get it? Even after you have watched, you want to watch it again. How to get the money to go and watch it again? And then Netflix comes in and he says, you don't have to go to a cinema hall. You don't have to go to, and if you go to a cinema hall, you pay to watch only one movie. But I'm offering you this. Just sit in the comfort of your home. And just every month, pay a token. And watch as many movies as you can. See the comfort, the convenience, the affordability will let you choose Netflix
and availability
than to go out there. Every human being has ego. Every human being is greedy. And that's what Netflix is offering. Netflix is massaging your ego. Sit in the comfort of your room. Have your curved TV. Stay there and watch the movies. Good quality, good sound, good things. You are sitting down there, your air conditioning. You feel like a big boy. Yeah. They're selling that to you. And then, so that is your ego. They're massaging you. And then every human being is greedy. So you feel that I have all these movies for this small money. I will do it.
All the latest movies.
All the latest movies. From Nollywood to Bollywood to Hollywood to Ghana, they say
Bollywood,
Gallywood to Gallywood. You understand? You can have all on it, and you are there. So you are spot for choice. You have I don't know what the Mexican soap listing. They are all there.
Telemundo,
and all this is there. Take for instance Uber. Yeah. First, if you don't have a car, to try to go to a place, you have to walk to the taxi station and queue for it to get your turn. You are going for an interview for a job. You stand in the sun, you sweat. By the time you get there, even the taxi, you find somebody who is sitting in and sleeping on you and all those things. Even if you have money to take drop-in, like we say in Ghana, or to charter a taxi, you have to go to the taxi station to charter the taxi or to take your drop-in and to go. But it will come as this thing. Then somebody comes out with just a common app. Yeah. Download the app, stay at home, make a request, give us your address, and the car will be there. And then they offer you different cars.
Literally chauffeur you,
Yeah. And then you become a car owner. So you go to a meeting, and it's like you are a car owner. You are sitting at the back in your suit and everything, and somebody is driving you, you are reading your newspaper, you are reading your this thing, and then you get it. When you finish the meeting, you come out again, you do it, you go. These are the uniqueness that so think in terms of Netflix or Uber. Yeah. And now begin to think. And there are a lot of young people who are offering those things. You are home, you go on now, you want to eat wache. First, wache used to be for the poor people, when I was growing up. Now, top CEOs are ordering wache using an app. Yeah. And these wache are not just cooked by local people. They are cooked by university graduates who are offering a certain unique proposition, a value proposition. And everybody wants what he feels that if I buy this, it's giving me affordability, it's giving me convenience, it's giving me comfort. I will put my money in it. That is why you should be. You see, let me conclude on this by saying this. Michael, success is making complex things simple. And most successful people make complex things simple. There are a lot of young people around me who make a lot of complex things simple for me. We can host this program because I have a very stubborn videographer and video editor. His name is Neo. But he makes life easy for me. He will take this from here, go and do the editing, do it very, very nice, and put it there. And so I'm paying for him for making complex things simple for me. And that's what successful people do.
Impressive. My final question would be that how do you sustain the relevance of uniqueness in a fast evolving world like what we find ourselves today?
One, discover your uniqueness, and then continuous development. Continually develop yourself. Look at what the environment is looking for and improve on it and keep improving on it. Because now Uber has competition. Bolt is out. This is out. So people will clone your ideas and try to run with you. But you must always make sure that before they think, you have thought. And that comes from continuous self-development. How many people have not come to Accra Business School to try to copy our unique selling propositions? In fact, we have even seen our mentoring university trying to do something similar to the things that we do. But there must always be something that nobody will be able to copy from you. For me, what nobody can be able to copy from us at Accra Business School is the anointing behind the school. So copy all the things that we do. What has made in terms of the private universities here, if we talk about the business schools in the private university, I think we are the biggest. We offer only business programs. We are just a business school and offering only business. If we take all the private universities just on their business school alone, I think we are the biggest. And the reason is that in addition to our unique selling proposition, you are an alumni of the school and you know what we offer. You know how convenient it was for you, to study with us. Affordability, accessibility, flexible learning, flexible payment, flexible entry. That which we offer here is our unique selling proposition. Okay? But that can easily be copied by others. But at the background of this unique selling proposition is a huge anointing. For me, it's a calling for me. It is not a business, it's a ministry that you can't copy. You must always have something behind your strategy that nobody can copy.
It's been a very interesting session. I can't wait to get the tape and go over this. It's always an insightful time talking to Bishop Titi-Ofei. I really enjoyed this conversation. And next week, we'll bring you more on questions number 2, 3, and the likes, and help you understand all the questions you need to ask yourself to be an effective and a successful leader. That will be all for today's edition of Leadtionary. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for watching.
Leadtionary 2023, live on Facebook at Bishop Gideon Titi-Ofei. Every Thursday at 1900 GMT.